You are lying on the ground. The fire has burned down to a dull orange glow. Above you, the dark is full of sounds you cannot name. And out there, somewhere close, something with night vision and silent paws already knows exactly where you are. For most of human history, this was every single night. No walls, no locked door, no barrier between your soft sleeping body and the animals that hunt when the sun goes down. And yet you exist, which means your ancestors lay down in that open, dark, defenseless, for hundreds of thousands of years and kept waking up. So why didn't they get eaten? It is a strange question. Because on paper, a sleeping human is the easiest meal on Earth. You are slow. You are soft. You have no claws, no fangs, no fur, no shell to hide behind. Your night vision is almost useless. For roughly 8 hours, you go completely offline, paralyzed, unconscious, oblivious to everything around you. A leopard could walk up and end you before your eyes even opened. And leopards did. We have the skulls to prove it. At a site called Swartkrans in South Africa, the paleontologist Bob Brain studied the fossil skull of an early human relative with 2 neat puncture holes in the back of it. When he measured the gap between those holes, it matched, almost exactly, the spacing of a leopard's lower fangs. A big cat had grabbed that individual by the head and dragged it up into a tree to eat in peace. Brain wrote a famous book about it with a title that says everything. Were our ancestors the hunters or the hunted? For a very long stretch of the story, the answer was the hunted. So how did the prey learn to sleep through the night? The answer is not one clever trick. It is a stack of them, layered over 1,000,000 years, and the first one is something you still stare into on a camping trip: fire. Deep inside Wonderwerk Cave in South Africa, a researcher named Francesco Berna found microscopic traces of burned bone and plant ash sitting 1,000,000 years down in the sediment. Controlled fire, inside a shelter, 1,000,000 years ago. Think about what that does to a night. Fire is light, and light steals the darkness that a predator hunts in. Fire is heat, and heat keeps a sleeping body alive through a cold savanna night. But most of all, fire is a message. No wild animal wants to walk into a flickering, crackling, smoke-smelling ring of flame. To a hunting cat, fire says one simple thing: stay away. Something dangerous lives here. Richard Wrangham, a biological anthropologist at Harvard, argues that fire reshaped almost everything about how your ancestors lived, including where they could safely close their eyes. Because before fire, there was a serious problem with the ground. Look at your closest living relatives. Every single night, a wild chimpanzee climbs high into a tree and bends fresh branches into a sleeping nest, far above the forest floor. Gorillas build them. Orangutans build them. The primatologist Fiona Stewart has spent years studying these nightly nests, and the reason for them is brutally simple. The ground at night belongs to leopards and lions, and a body asleep on open earth is a body waiting to be taken. Sleeping up high is how an ape survives until morning. So when early humans came down out of the trees to sleep on flat, open ground, they should have been wiped out. Instead, they thrived. And the thing that made ground-level sleep survivable was a ring of fire and a circle of bodies. Which brings us to the second trick. You. Not you, alone. You, plural. Your ancestors did not sleep the way you do, sealed inside a private room behind a locked door. They slept in a group, packed close together, every age mixed in, around the warmth of a shared fire. And a group of sleeping humans, it turns out, is a completely different animal from a single sleeping human. To understand why, 2 scientists went to live among people who still sleep much the way our ancestors did. David Samson and Charlie Nunn studied the Hadza, a community of hunter-gatherers in Tanzania who sleep outdoors in open camps without walls and without electric light. Samson fitted dozens of people with small sleep-tracking monitors and recorded, minute by minute, who was actually asleep across the night. What he discovered became known as the Sentinel Hypothesis, and it is beautifully simple. A sentinel is just a guard, someone watching while others rest. Across 20 days of data, covering more than 30 adults, there was almost never a single moment when every person in the camp was asleep at the same time. Read that again. Out of the entire group, somebody was always awake, not on purpose. Nobody was assigned to keep watch. It happened naturally, because people drifted off at different times, woke at different times, and stirred at different points in the night. Now add the older members of the camp, who tend to feel sleepy earlier in the evening and wake well before dawn. The result is a group that, without ever planning it, is quietly guarded all night long. Samson and Nunn called this the poorly sleeping grandparent effect. The restless, lighter sleep that frustrates so many people in old age may not be a flaw at all. It may be an ancient gift, the very thing that kept the whole camp alive while the young and the strong got the deep, heavy rest their bodies needed. Across any single night, the group was never truly blind. There were always a few open eyes near the fire, ready to notice the wrong kind of silence. Now, picture it. Picture the actual night. The sun is long gone. The savanna has turned cold and blue-black. In the center of a small clearing, a fire pops and glows, and around it 20 or 30 people lie curled close together on the bare ground. A grandmother sits up, awake, poking at the embers, watching the dark beyond the light. Children sleep in a warm tangle of arms and legs. A young hunter snores. The smell of wood smoke drifts out into the tall grass for 100 meters in every direction. Out past the edge of the firelight, a hyena stops. It can see the glow. It can smell the smoke. It can hear, faintly, that something in that group is shifting and moving, that not everything in there is asleep, and it runs the calculation every predator runs every night of its life. Is this meal worth the risk? It is not. The hyena turns and melts back into the black. That is why a predator ignores a sleeping human. Not because you are strong, because you were never actually alone, you were never completely asleep, and you were never without fire. And here is the twist that makes this your story, not just theirs. Everything that kept your ancestors alive in the dark, the group, the shared warmth, the staggered patchwork of sleep, the body that stays faintly alert in an unfamiliar place, you still carry all of it. Every piece. But you have stripped away the entire world it was designed for. Have you ever slept badly on the first night in a hotel, or at a friend's house, or anywhere new? Scientists have a name for it. The first night effect. Researchers named Masako Tamaki and Yuka Sasaki at Brown University watched it happen inside the brain. On your first night in a strange place, one half of your brain literally sleeps more lightly than the other, staying half switched on, scanning the dark for threats that are not there. That is not a malfunction. That is a sentinel system, hundreds of thousands of years old, still running inside a carpeted room with a deadbolt on the door, still watching for the leopard at Swartkrans. There is even evidence that the deep past shapes how long you sleep. The sleep scientist Jerome Siegel measured the nights of 3 different hunter-gatherer groups across 2 continents and found they do not actually sleep more than you do, and rarely sleep straight through. Their sleep rises and falls with the cold of the night and the rhythm of the group, exactly the pattern a body evolves when the night is something to be survived together, not switched off alone. You evolve to sleep in a warm, breathing pile of people, under open stars, with a fire at the center and someone always awake. So look at what you have replaced that with. A silent room, total darkness, complete solitude, a sealed door that cuts you off from every other human you love. We call this comfort. To the oldest layers of your brain, it can read as something closer to abandonment. A single body, asleep, alone, exactly the way a predator likes it. This is why so many people sleep better with a partner beside them, or a dog on the bed, or the low murmur of a fan, or a voice filling the silence. You are not weak for needing it. You are rebuilding, in fragments, the conditions your nervous system was tuned to across 100,000 nights. The closeness, the warmth, the soft, constant proof that you are not the only one here, that someone, somewhere, just beyond you, is still awake. Your ancestors solved the deadliest problem of the night, not with claws and not with walls, but with each other. So tonight, when you lie down, flat on your back, in the dark, soft and slow, and about to vanish for 8 hours, remember that you are doing the single most dangerous thing your species has ever done. And remember exactly why you are still here to do it. Not because the predators disappeared. Because, for 1,000,000 years, someone by the fire stayed awake, so that you could sleep.